welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody, and thanks so much for joining. Gianna, Girardi, and Mark Robinson here. We're so excited to be going live with you all today. The Nuggets just played here in Ball Arena, and unfortunately, we're beat by OKC. The final score was 121 to 111. A bit of a tough game. We did see a lot of energy here in Ball Arena, but we have a few topics that we want to cover with you guys. And our first one is going to be top performers from each team.
Yep. And even though it was a tough night for Denver, they obviously weren't able to come out on top. A few guys did pretty well and helped the offensive surge. Obviously something crazy to think about. Nuggets didn't lead at all for the entire game.
0% of the game.
OKC scored the first bucket, and they had as big of an 18-point lead. There were no lead changes, never tied. It was always coming from behind, and we talked about it pregame. The key was going to be getting as much offense going early on as possible. That is exactly what the Nuggets didn't do. But on the topic of people that did well tonight, a young buck who has been so good for the Nuggets this year, Peyton Watson, had himself a night. 29 points, 3 assists. He has been truly, for me, maybe the most fun player to watch this year.
Oh, yeah.
He's obviously been with the Nuggets for his entire time in the NBA. He's so young, and we're seeing his development so early on. And this year specifically, how much poise he's gained, how much patience he has, and just how much his shot has developed, how much his movement and his basketball IQ has developed. It's been amazing to see. He literally had the best point mark out of anybody.
He did, which is crazy having Jamal. Obviously, Jokic was in tonight, but 29 minutes from Jokic. Peyton Watson, 29 points, which was crazy. He led the charge for our Nuggets, and we were talking, Mark, myself, and our friend Ron Taylor earlier about it, and it's crazy to just see kind of the switch that Peyton Watson has flipped. And watching him mature and grow into this incredible player that looks like he's got some major all-star talent. So we got to speak with Peyton Watson after the game as well, and he mentioned that he wants to be an all-star someday. He sees it in his future, and he mentioned that he's one of the better two-way players in the league right now. So his confidence is through the roof, and our confidence in him is through the roof.
Yeah, there's a lot of time and potential for him in the future as far as how much more his game is going to develop, and obviously a huge talking point for us and just everybody within the circle of the Denver Nuggets right now is what kind of a contract are we going to see him get? He's in a contract year right now, and boy, is he proving that he is going to get a big payday, whether it's here in Denver, fingers crossed, or anywhere else in the NBA. He is going to get a big contract, and with the way that his confidence shapes his game, I think that contract and that, big ticket deal for the foreseeable future, I think that's only going to make him better because he's going to think to himself and he's going to know, I am a very valuable two-way player. I'm one of the best shooters on whatever respective team he ends up on. Whatever team he ends up on, it's likely he's going to be a starter. And I think knowing in the back of his mind, this is the amount of money I'm making. This is, why I'm here, why I'm making this money, why I'm on this deal. It's just gonna make his game so much better. All-Star's definitely in his future. I mean, we were talking off the air about how he's already playing like he's an all-star. It's just a matter of time before he gets to where his game is all-star level. But it's so cool to see how much his confidence grew. He was, although, humble and transparent, with everybody in the interviews after the game that OKC is a tough team to play against, and he recognized that. Even though he had a good night individually, OKC's offensive surge was a lot better. He expressed how just the chemistry of the team, how much they're able to generate offense within their system, it makes them such a threat. And that kind of leads us into some of the next people that we're going to talk about as far as top performers in this building tonight. As painful as it is for us to say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a great night.
He did it. He might have outshined Jokic tonight, which haters can hate, lovers can love, but the two MVPs going head-to-head tonight in the building, and SGA had himself a night.
Yeah, he had an awesome night. And just watching his game develop. I mean, 34 points, and he's already been, the MVP. He's already been an all-star. But just watching his game develop and the way that he works within the system, that is OKC's very threatening offense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 13 assists.
Yeah, that's obviously a huge number, too. OKC had 23 total team assists, which that's obviously big if you're going to lead the entire game. And
he had more than half of them.
Exactly. But just the way that his game is developed and the way that he fits within the OKC system, it's no surprise that he comes into this building. There's obviously extra emotion added. Playing against the team that, let's be real, the Nuggets gave OKC the most competition in the playoffs last year. So coming into this building, knowing that this is a team where the intensity and the physicality is always at its highest, and that this was also the first matchup between these two teams this season.
We wanted some revenge here in Denver, and unfortunately didn't get it.
Exactly. So no surprise that SGA had a great night. 34 points, that is unreal. But somebody that I think turned some heads, he's had a good year in general so far this year for OKC, but came into the building tonight specifically shooting the three, had a phenomenal night. Cason Wallace did really well. 27 points for him, and he was 7 for 11 from behind the arc. And we know with this OKC team, not only are they so strong defensively, they're the number one net defensive team in the NBA, but when they can get in their offensive groove and they can do so well shooting the three like Cason Wallace did tonight, that's one of the main reasons that they led the entire game and won the first matchup between the Nuggets and the Thunder this year. What did you see from Cason Wallace tonight and just his overall game and how good he was for OKC?
Right. Obviously a little unexpected. We had mentioned in our pregame that Denver was the number one net rated offense and OKC's the number one net rated defense. So we weren't expecting to see necessarily quite an offensive surge come from them. And he was obviously a big part of that, going 7 for 11 from three. So obviously a big portion to their win. But I think that's enough about OKC. We'll get back to our Nuggets now. Jamal Murray, 12 assists tonight.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one because I don't think if you're looking at the stats, if you're looking at the box score from the night, the naked eye wouldn't say, yeah, Jamal Murray was a standout player in this game.
Jamal is not what we want.
It's not typical from him. But I thought it was worth noting because we're going to get into this in a second here, and it's worth talking about with the way that this game panned out. The offensive surge was not bad from Denver, and they had 29 assists. Jamal Murray had a lot of looks. He was taking shots left and right, and it was just one of those nights. He even said it in his press conference. The shots just weren't falling. The ball just wasn't bouncing his way. But what he was able to do offensively as far as assists go and find the looks, find the passes, and get the ball to people like Peyton Watson, like Nikola Jokic, anybody that was out there with him to score and to keep Denver in the game for certain parts. Because there was times where it was only, a 3-4 point game. Yeah. Like at halftime, it was knotted up pretty close, under a 10-point game. And then I specifically remember there's one play from the game that I remember. It was Peyton Watson driving down the lane. He had a look to potentially go all the way to the window and put up a layup, but he hooked a pass over his head to Jalen Pickett, who drilled a corner three, and that three made it a 4-point game. It was close for most of the game. My point being here, Jamal Murray, everything with the way he's played, and it's why he became an all-star for the first time in his career today. If there's one aspect of his game that isn't super strong, other parts of the way he plays is just going to heighten that and help it become, help other aspects of the way that the Nuggets were playing. The 12 assists, I mean, you look at down the line, other assist marks. Spencer Jones had no assists. P-Watt only had 3. Jokic had 8, which, I mean, it's Jokic. Obviously, he's going to have insane numbers no matter what night it is.
Even coming off an injury.
Yeah. Jalen Pickett only had 1. Tim Hardaway Jr., none. Jonas Valanciunas, 2. Julian Strawther, 3. Everybody else had no assists. And then Jamal Murray, 12. I feel like quietly had 12 assists. And so I think that played a really big role in the Nuggets being able to at least stay in the game. And it gives you hope for later down the road that Jamal Murray, even on a night where the scoring isn't fully heightened, he can still produce a lot of offense, on the secondary sort of way.
100%. And we've talked about the unselfishness of this team many times, and to see that coming out of Jamal is very exciting in my eyes. But I feel like that's why this team was able to stay afloat and do more than stay afloat. They did well without Jokic being in, and part of the reason is the unselfishness. Like P-Watt could have we were saying he could have dunked that ball, but instead passed it so they could get the three. So I don't know, just sometimes obviously the assists are more important than the points. And tonight for
while
Jamal
we're on the
Murray,
topic of top performers, before we move on, that P-Watt dunk on Chet
So
Holmgren,
sick.
so
So
awesome.
sick.
He
Crowd went crazy. That is another thing I will add about Peyton Watson. And if you guys haven't had the chance to get out to a Nuggets game yourself, let us be the first to tell you the crowd loves him, and he gets the best reactions like ever.
this building
Erupts.
not just tonight, but specifically, it's been rocking. And in this game, and this was at a time where it was still close, and there was a potential that we were going to be able to see the Nuggets pull ahead and get their first lead of the game. Peyton Watson got a feed right in the lane, and he dunked on a 6'11" Chet Holmgren. It was
Crazy.
an electric play. He got asked post game, like, is that an exciting thing for you? Like, do you?
They have some history together.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like the question was, do you kind of book that in your mind as like, oh yeah, like I just dunked on Chet Holmgren, or is it just like, you dunk on one player, move on to the next player? He was pretty humble about it. He was like, I just, it feels good to dunk on whoever, but I'm going to move on.
A dunk is a dunk.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it's on, pretty much.
Exactly. He obviously was like, I'm going to move on to the next dunk that I have, whatever. But he knew that was electric. The crowd knew it was electric.
Ball Arena absolutely erupted, and they always do, whether it's a block, a dunk, kind of anything Peyton Watson does, to be honest.
Exactly. Very awesome stuff. All right, let's talk about what was kind of a point of weakness, a struggle point, so to say, for the Nuggets, because obviously the expectation coming into the game, it's the last leg of a four-game homestand. You have two huge wins in the middle of the homestand. You lose to Detroit, but then you get two wins against the Nets and the Clippers, who are two competitive teams. And then you obviously want to come in here and you want to finish strong, but things didn't necessarily go the way they wanted to for the Nuggets. What were some of the things that stood out to you as far as stuff that didn't go well in terms of what we typically like to see?
Right. Well, first of all, Coach Adelman said it himself too. Just the pure athleticism of OKC is super underrated. They're obviously a very tough team to play, but the Nuggets kind of broke down in their rotations tonight, had some poor turnovers, and I would say, and a few of the players that we talked to also said that if there was anything that they could have done to change the game tonight to get the win, the two things that were mentioned were rebounding and turnovers.
Yeah, the turnovers were an issue. 17 turnovers is a tough number to look at on the sheet after the game. That's not a number where you're going to expect to see a win attached to it. And that's been an emphasis and an issue. Not just tonight, but all season. Defensively, we've obviously struggled. The interesting storyline for this matchup going into tonight's game was number one net offensive rated team versus number one net defensive rated team. OKC's defense showed in the sense that they were able to prevent a lot of offensive scoring opportunities for Denver. But then on the contrary to that, Denver also struggled in their sequences and in their offensive development because it turned into lots of sloppy turnovers. And I can think of a few specific plays. I can think of one where Spencer Jones got a really easy defensive rebound, grabbed the ball, easily could have generated a play, but he just fell over and passed it right back to somebody on OKC right in the paint who was able to just pop up a layup. And that kind of stuff won't fly when you're trying to beat a top 2-3 team in the Western Conference, and a team that is coming off of a championship run and has consistently been what people say the best team in the league this year.
Right. And we just gave them too much rhythm by not closing out tonight, and that was a obvious weakness that led to the Nuggets' loss. But there were some bright spots for us tonight. It wasn't all bad. So, Mark, I want to hear your positives.
Well, David Adelman said it himself. The offense wasn't a weak point tonight for how Denver played. Just because they came up short and lost the game, and the defensive aspects and the turnovers was what was most primarily the reason the Nuggets weren't able to win. There's still a lot of positive takeaways offensively. I mean, you look at Peyton Watson. We already talked about him. 29 points. He had an unreal night. Jokic, a little bit of a quieter night, 16 points. But you have to.
Well, what else would we expect, you know?
I know. And you have to also remember, too, he's coming off of a month-long lower body injury where he was working hard at his recovery. I think it's a little unorthodox to have seen him come in and play for the first time in over a month.
Make history.
Against the Clippers and drop the most points in less than 25 minutes played in NBA history. A little bit of fatigue.
Crazy.
He comes into this game, and it's a little more of, I don't want to say a humbling performance, but you look at it and you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of what we expected from Jokic coming back from being away from injury for a while.
Well, and I would say it was a much more aggressive, fast-paced game, maybe, in a sense. And you got to think about it. Jokic hasn't played basketball in a month. Obviously, staying in shape is not going to be easy when you're injured. So tonight, he looked like he was moving just a little bit slower in a sense, but still did incredible things for the Nuggets for the time he was in. So.
And yesterday in his, or not yesterday, sorry, 2 days ago, whenever we were last in here for the Clippers game, God, my days get so jumbled
I know.
up. It's
We've
technically,
been here every night.
It's technically tomorrow. It's midnight. So I'll also just quick note for everyone that's watching right now at midnight, appreciate the support because
Happy Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, it is late. But anyways, Jokic was saying the other day that he was working so hard with his trainer and the workouts that he was doing and what he was trying to do to gain his strength and his comfortability back in his knee and his injury. And so that, I think, also had to have taken a toll on him to a certain extent, to where he obviously was working really hard at his recovery. He came in and he made history the other night. There has to be some sort of fatigue in
100%.
this game where he comes in and he doesn't do super well offensively. Jalen Pickett, 7 points. Obviously, you want to see a little more from him. And then Jamal Murray, obviously a quieter night too, 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas Valanciunas, I was happy with the way his game went offensively tonight.
Me as well.
Had 2 assists, 13 points. And I'm happy when our backup center comes in and he plays as physical as he does and he gets double-digit points. That is exactly what you need from a player like Jonas Valanciunas.
I mean, having that strong of a backup center is a blessing to any team, but he hit a clutch three. I don't know if that was the first or the second, but Mark and I were up there getting way too excited about it. We love to see.
And he only took 2 shots from behind the arc, and he made one of them. It was a great look. I specifically remember the play. It was a ball that got floated all the way to the other end, the far side of the court from where we were watching in the press box. He kind of saved it from.
He always looks a little unconfident that it's going to go in. A little bit of a wobble.
But he kind of saved it from going out of bounds and kept it inbound at the corner. And then he had it up here, kind of that classic Jonas look where he's kind of looking to make a pass. And you know him, he's a really goofy guy, always confusion on his face. He was kind of looking pass?
Should I pass? Should I shoot? And
he just decided, I'm gonna take this one myself.
And he banked
absolutely drained it from where he was. But that's exactly what I'm saying. That was exactly what I wanted to see from Jonas Valanciunas. He had 2 offensive rebounds and a defensive rebound, 3 total. And I think that was a perfect night for Jonas, especially with the other thing too. Not only are these guys playing really physical basketball night in and night out, he's another guy who's still recovering and maybe not quite back to 100% from where he was injury-wise with his calf strain and everything that he was dealing with.
I would say for me, the biggest positive, although we already mentioned it many times, is Peyton Watson. And I just think if he continues to excel the way he's going to, and him, Jokic, and Murray are all clicking, then it's going to be a really exciting trio to watch. And I hope that progresses as the season goes on. But yeah, tough loss for the Nuggets here in Denver tonight, unfortunately. Last time we faced OKC was Game 7 of the playoffs and got beat. So we were hoping for that win tonight. We wanted the revenge here at Ball Arena, but came up just a little bit short.
Yeah, but I don't think, and this could be a hot take for sure, but I don't think that this loss against this OKC team at this point in the season is something to be super upset about. I also saw something after the game that a lot of OKC people, in the media and just on social media, were saying that was a really good game for us offensively. They recognize that even though they have a championship contending roster still, and they're coming off a championship run where they pretty much dominated every matchup they had in the championship except for the Nuggets. They recognized that this was an unorthodox night and that they had a really good night offensively. I think with how many more times we're going to play OKC for the remainder of the season and the high chances that we're going to be matched up with them again in the playoffs, I don't think this is something you beat yourself up about too much. You got to...
Let's get the losses out now so we can beat them later.
Exactly.
Also, the amount of time, like, the more we continue to play them, the more the players keep saying that they're learning how to play against them. Like, as simple as it sounds, it truly is a thing. Even Peyton Watson in his post-game interview today was like, I can't share anything on guarding us yet. Like, I can't give away too many details. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. And like I said, I think that the development with playing against this team will come. And like something DA said before the game too, as much as it is a different game with some different emotion tied to it, with the consideration of losing in Game 7, it's a completely different Nuggets team.
Right.
You have a
Our team
completely
has
different
changed
roster.
so much.
You have no more MPJ. You have a huge offseason addition in Tim Hardaway Jr., whose offensive abilities have been unreal. You get Cam Johnson in that MPJ trade package, and then you also add an elite backup center in Jonas Valanciunas. I think this was a perfect way for the Nuggets to get kind of a sense and just kind of figure out how we're going to be able to play against them, because we're going to see them later down the road. A road trip starting for the Nuggets. It's interesting that they play the Pistons. That's one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
And they're coming off a very weird game against the Pistons. It was the first of this 4-game homestand where it didn't feel like they lost to the Pistons. It felt like they beat themselves up. You also saw what I think was probably one of the first times in NBA history where a player goes to the line for 3 free throw shots in the final few seconds of the game, and Jamal Murray,
Very
unfortunately, he doesn't knock those down.
It was the first time in the history for Jamal Murray. That one's a fact. The first time he's done that. Unfortunately, they just didn't want to go in. But yeah, it should have been a game that we won.
So it's a 4-game home. It's a 4-game away, or no, sorry, excuse me, a 3-game away road trip. Pistons, Knicks, and Bulls, and then they're back here. Before we wrap things up, the story of the day in the NBA, it's been talked about weeks after weeks, months after months, that one Jamal Murray is a 100% lock for being an all-star.
Jamal Star.
Exactly. And it was announced today that
He's going.
Jamal Murray
Woo!
is going to be an all-star reserve.
About time, right?
Yeah, right. For the first time in his career, and it's so awesome.
We're so proud of him. He's been absolutely killing it, as we've mentioned so many times, but watching him have the season that he's had, it's been absolutely incredible, and the way that he's really stepped up for this broken team and carried them to victory many nights. I'm excited for him.
Can you believe he was asleep when they announced it?
No, yes. He mentioned that he was sleeping.
He was napping.
His friends called him on FaceTime, like a group FaceTime, and he's like, what's going on? Kind of half asleep, half awake. So that's how the news was broke to Jamal Murray, that he made All-Star for the first time in his career.
But
what a better way, though, right?
That's
Have
awesome.
your friends call you.
But he's averaging 26 points per game. He's averaging 7 rebounds per game. He's playing the best basketball of his career, and he's been in the league for 10, 11 years. And David Adelman has acknowledged that this year specifically, he's not only in the best physical shape of his life, he's in the best mental state of his life. He's not dealing with any mental blocks. He's not dealing with any mental struggles that are causing him to not play the basketball that we know he's capable of. And I think that's what made his first few months of this season so notable. And it's why he's going to be an all-star for the first time in his career. And how exciting that he gets to go out there with Nikola Jokic. 2 Denver Nuggets players will be in Los Angeles representing the Nuggets, which is awesome.
I'm sure Jokic is so stoked to have a teammate with him. Another cute point I want to add before we wrap it up. Jamal did say that the main reason that he wants to go is because his dad is so excited. His dad was hoping and praying that he would make it to All-Star, and he did. So I thought that was very cute. I'm definitely a very emotional person when it comes to those sort of things. So it kind of chokes me up a bit to hear, but we're very happy for Mr. Jamal Murray.
Yeah, that was very wholesome. And I love, too, how he took took it seriously in a sense when he was talking to all of us about getting invited to be an all-star for the first time in his career. Like he talked about how his plan is to go out there and to go and play the best basketball of, his capabilities. He's going to go out there and he's going to give everything that he can. He's going to play to the highest level that he can, and he's going to try to, impress and perform to his highest ability. And
which is great. I agree. I mean, he specifically said, I don't like the way it's gone the past couple of years with some of these players. I know the ones that are going to play hard, and kind of threw a little shade. Not on anybody specifically, but, like, I think we all agree. We've all seen it.
Oh,
so
definitely.
We're ready to watch him ball out in LA.
Yeah, All-Star break's coming up. We're going to have some people out there. Ron Taylor, host of the Court Report, he will be out there covering.
Shout out Ron.
Covering
Nuggets fan.
Covering the All-Star break, and it's gonna be awesome to see all that coverage. And if we're on the topic of shouting out Ron's behind the camera right now. He's doing all the behind the scenes.
Shout out Ron for real.
This whole midnight live stream from Ball Arena, it wouldn't be possible without Ron Taylor. So big shout out to him for keeping everything intact, for everything that we're doing with Nuggets coverage and all that. As we continue to coast through the season, we're kind of in the middle, but I mean, we're going to snap our fingers and we're going to be gearing up for the playoffs, which is going to be awesome.
And what an exciting time. What an exciting team to be covering and following as that approaches. But we appreciate you guys so much for joining our live today. We're going to be planning more of these in the future, coming to you literally straight from Ball Arena. I don't know if you could see it in the background, but we just came out of the locker room. We just came out of the press
You can
conferences.
see the
oh yeah,
over here, all the
we've
all the
got
retired Nuggets.
The good info for you guys right here from Ball Arena. So be sure to stay tuned because we'll plan a few more of these. But thank you so much for joining tonight. I am Gianna Girardi, and this is Mark Robinson with Guerilla Sports.
Have a great night, everybody, and thanks for staying up past midnight with us. Happy Groundhog Day.
Yeah, hopefully spring.